Alright, I'm going to do another radio here. This is a Crosley Model 6. This is a pretty rare radio. Crosley Model 5s are pretty run-of-the-mill everywhere, but number 6s tend to be a little bit more rare. This one, mechanically, physically, is in pretty good shape. Missing some screws and stuff. And electronically, I know it's in not working order. Okay, so let's get it out of here and we will take a look at it. The cabinet looks good. The cabinet is intact. It's rough. We'll just clean it up like we did on the last one. This one I don't remember where I got. It was see, when these screws rust, they jam into the hole. The rust swells up and jams it into the hole, and woo, you can break them off. All right, that's the end of it. Alrighty, and we'll get the box out of here. I don't know what the circuit diagram is for this thing. This one's got Crosley's dual winding potentiometers. What Crosley did on their early receivers like this is on their filament rheostats, they had two windings. They had the bottom winding that was very low ohms. It was like 2 ohms total, and that would let you light up the old 1 amp 01A tubes. And then they had the second half of the thing wound with a 10 ohm, and that would let you run the newer 100 milliamp 01A tubes. And it's an interesting idea. I can see we got trouble here. The wipers for both potentiometers are missing. I think that there was one in here. Okay, we've got one wiper that's present. So what I'll have to do is machine. We got the spring and we got the spring. I got springs for both of them, but we're missing a wiper for one of them. So I'm going to have to machine up another wiper, and that will take care of that. Okay, we're missing the grid leak. We'll have to get one of those. A couple tubes, of course. Nice tube sockets, these ceramics. Okay, so the very first thing that we've got here, these are the book style, they call them book style variable capacitors. What they have 2 plates and they just move them back and forth. It's just, back when they made these things, the plate type, intermeshing plate type, were not available. You couldn't go to the store and buy them. So they had to come up with crazy stuff like this. Yeah, okay, it works good. This one here works really good. Okay. Variable condensers are okay. So what we've got, okay, this condenser is the antenna coupling condenser, and this condenser is going to be the tuning condenser. It's not a regenerative by the looks of things. It doesn't look like it's a regenerative set. Which is odd. It has an RF amplifier for the first stage and then the detector for the second stage. Okay, which means it's very poorly laid out. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to clean the thing up. All right, these knobs we will pull off of here. It's not good. Our shaft is pulling out of this one. What I'm going to do, I'll put a little super glue on it and drive it back in there, and that should hold it. All right. All right. Okay. And the other one. Yeah, it's pulling out too. Okay, same thing. All right, that will get those shafts in there solidly where they're not going to move. All right, now these need to have the brush treatment. This is just getting the dirt out of the grooves in the knob here. It's a little wire brush. All right, those two knobs are ready to go. And we got the hardware. The tube sockets are a little bit dirty down in there. We'll just wipe them out a little here. They're not bad, it's just they do have a little dust on them. Okay, and then we need us a grid leak. Okay, here we have grid leak resistors. Let's see. These are just random grid leak resistors. I don't know that they're good. Okay, this one's good. 2 megohms. Pretty loose. I'm going to bend that in a little more, make it tight. Alrighty. Now, down inside, we need to scratch these tube socket terminals just to make sure that they're shiny. It might be nickel-plated. They're probably nickel-plated brass. It's stainless they didn't have back then. This radio was made in 1923. They made 2 versions. They had the early version and the late version. And this one here is the late version. It has the Bakelite capacitors or tuning condensers. The early model had wood. They were made out of wood, and these are the ones that are made out of Bakelite. Okay, we got one of them that's very loose here. The terminal itself wiggles. As a matter of fact, both of them do. Okay, those are all tight. That one's tight, and that one's tight. But these two on this side over here are loose. All right. Okay. Problem here is they have soldered onto the screw. So it makes it to where we can't tighten the screw. I'm going to try to force it. It might break it off, which is completely okay. I'll put a brand new screw in there. 2 nuts on there. Broke it off. Okay. I broke that screw off completely. Okay. We'll see, they had 2 nuts on that thing, and soldered it on the top. So there was no way to get it loose without screwing it up. Okay, let me get another screw. I have to get it with my finger. This other one is not tight either. We'll go ahead and break it off or tighten it. Okay. Alrighty. See, just a couple nuts. Okay. All right, they're all tight. These wires back where they go. Okie doke. Now, this socket is a little loose on there, so we have to tighten these front screws a little bit. Oh, yeah. Okay. See, that gets them tight on the panel so they don't wobble. Okay. All right, that's got all of our knobs and terminals polished up. You can get those little wire brushes anywhere that they have Dremel tool accessories, like Home Depot, that sort of thing, even eBay. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and wash this off. I'm going to use some acetone and wash the panel off. That'll get any grease and wax that's still on there off of there. right. That looks good. Boy, that looks real good. I cleaned it up nicely. If it was going in a contest, I'd strip all that paint out of there and redo them, and knobs and all that, you know, just redo the painting. But this one's not going in a contest. It's just going to sit on a shelf for 20 more years. We're not going to put the batteries on the inside, so what we're going to do is remove these wires. I'm just going to lop those off of there. All right, that takes care of those. See, we're going to hook our power supply to the outside rather than the inside. Okay, now, we've got one problem here. This wire here doesn't have a terminal on the front. What I'm going to do this one exactly the same as the 51. I'm going to use the same B+ for the amplifier and the detector. You know, in the old days, they would use 22.5 volts for the detector and 45 or 67 for the amplifier. But this isn't really necessary. So I'm going to hook both of them to the 45. The Crosley Model 51 worked just beautiful with both of them on the same voltage. And this one will too. See, this one had the batteries located inside the box, so they could just hook this onto the 22.5 volt battery. But since we're going to use an external power supply, we'll go ahead and just connect it here. And that way we won't have to drill a hole. I don't want to drill a hole in the cabinet that's out of place. Okay, these extra wire, this is profit here. These wires left over are profit. That's what we get, our profit. We save that. Now next we have to get the potentiometer shafts put back in. These are hardened by now. Okay, we got all the parts. Amazing. The thing fell off on the floor when I was taking those wires. Classic, classic, classic. Okay, first we place a knob through the hole. Okay, then, and then, let's see, I gotta put that right there. Okay, so I'm getting the pointer on the front aimed right, and then this has to go down all the way here. We'll push it on and tighten it. Okay. Okay. Okay, that gets all of our controls back. Sockets are cleaned and tightened down. Grid leak, everything else is in okay. Everything's soldered, all the wires are good. Alright, next thing to do, we'll put some tubes in it and fire it up. Okay, got some tubes here. This time I tested them in the tube tester before I got it. So these are good tubes. Looks good now. Okay. All right, now we need speaker and power supply. And the power supply. Okay. Now, the speaker goes to these two top terminals here. This was not made to drive a speaker, so it's not going to be very loud, but it will serve to test the radio. Okay, then here I'm going to need a couple little pieces of wire because I got clips. For a minus. All right, ground onto there. And plus onto there. Okay, and then our B plus goes to here. Our antenna goes over here. Alright, we need to turn it on. All right. Okay. All right. It works. Okay, the next thing we got to do is the cabinet. Now this one is not as loud with the speaker because it's only a 2-tube radio and it's not regenerative. It's just a detector and an amplifier, so it doesn't have the same kind of gain as that 52. This is a much earlier set, but it works perfectly. It's working great, so that's all we need to know. It's ready to display. All right, the cabinet is the next thing. We got to get the cabinet. Okay. Now, looking at the box, it has a lot of trouble. This side, we're worn down pretty much to bare wood. The rest of it looks pretty good though. Front panel to bare wood, so we're going to have to strip some of it down to bare wood. No big deal though. All right, first thing we're going to do, we're going to lacquer thin it. Go ahead and use lacquer thinner to completely clean it like we do on all of them. You, all right. This time I'm taking it off down to bare wood. Pretty much at bare wood already on this. Okay, see, these are down to bare wood now. This is different than just liquefying the finish a little bit and spreading it around. I mean, this time I'm using enough lacquer thinner to just literally strip it off completely. Okay? Okay, this side's pretty bad too. Okay. Now, I've got to get these papers off of here. I don't want to get them lacquered up. Save those. We're going to spray that with lacquer to preserve it. But we don't want to get color on it. We don't want to get stain on it. Okay, now this is a mess. So we're going to go ahead and strip it. Okay, that's down to bare wood. All right, the next thing we're going to do, 220 sandpaper. And we just sand it down. Okay, that's perfect. Absolutely clean and beautiful. Okay? All right, there's a little bit of lacquer on that. I'll have to get some more in here. All right. This is bare wood now. Doesn't have any of the original shellac left on it. Excellent. Very good. That gets it completely sanded. We're down to bare wood now. Next thing we're going to do, 4/0 steel wool. Whoo, smooth as a baby's butt. Wow. See, that just takes that wood and it polishes it up to where it's really smooth. This is going to make it to where we can get our glass-like finish on it. Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Inside, it's got a little discoloring here. All right. All that dust off there. Not worried about the back. Okay, there's our box. Stripped down completely. Took about 20 minutes or less. Okay, now for coloring we're going to use dark walnut. I like dark colored radios. That was pretty much the style back in those days. So we're going to use dark walnut stain. Okay, we're just going to use Minwax hardware store stain. You get it at the hardware store. Dark walnut. You don't have to use dark walnut. You can use a cherry or a maple if you want it light colored. But the dark walnut is nice for that style of radio. I mean, for this age of radio, they were all dark. They used that tannin stain back in those days. Piece of felt. Ooh, it looks nice. That looks really nice. Since we're on bare wood, we don't have to saturate this. We just are just putting a nice thin layer on it, just wetting it, and that's it. We don't need to saturate it. We want to do a fair job on this because it's a pretty rare radio. This particular model is a pretty rare radio. it'd be, in fully restored condition, it's going to be a $500 radio, so you want to do a halfway decent job on it. All right. Okay. Now, we're going to let that sit overnight and completely dry. All right. This has been drying overnight. It is completely dry. It looks absolutely beautiful. Now, before we spray it, take a rag and wipe all the dust off it. If you don't wipe the dust off it, you're going to have little speckles, which will be disappointing. Don't hold it too close or it'll make a mess. Okay, second coat. All right. Okay, this has been drying for a couple hours. It's all dry. Now, we have to do the top. All right. We'll let that dry for a good 20 minutes and then we'll do it again. Okay? That looks beautiful. All right, that takes care of refinishing the box. We're going to let that dry overnight and then we'll reassemble it. Okay, the box is finished. Look at that beautiful box. Isn't that incredible? That turned out just absolutely beautiful. Wow. Okie doke. All right, let's get the radio and Goes into there. Like that. Okay, now I need screws. Let's see. I think. Okay, that's got it. Beautiful. Okay, the next thing we'll do, we got our stickers. Okay, well, finishing it off, I put the sticker in it and the serial number. Now the postcard I'm not going to stick on there. I'm going to leave the postcard so you can see both sides of it. This is what you mail in to get your warranty. We send it back to them right now. We'll just put a 55-cent stamp on there and send it to them and see what happens. It'll probably come back as undeliverable. I don't. There's no. Crosley is still around, I think, but I think they. I don't know. Maybe they aren't. Look how beautiful the box turned out. Isn't it just beautiful? I mean, that's a fine radio there. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, that's it.